In this video, we're about to watch Mehdi Hasan square off against Donald Trump's former chief of staff, consistently fact-checking him and breaking apart his arguments with his own words. As always, we'll watch the exchange in full, and I'll share my thoughts towards the end.
Let's come back to that.
Is he a perfect guy? No.
But you said you wouldn't vote for him again because of the insurrection.
Yeah, well, I didn't vote for him in the Republican primary, and a lot of folks did.
But you chose to put a man back in the Oval Office who you said, let me just quote you.
Yeah.
You said that he lit the fuse for the insurrection and attempted coup in 2021. You said we needed a president that day. We didn't have one.
Yeah, and listen, I think Bill Barr said something very similar. Bill actually testified against him at the January 6th committee and said, look, general elections are binary choices in my country. They really are. We don't have a third party. It's this or that. Yeah. And you have to say, okay, do I take this person with all of their warts and all their difficulties, or this person?
I mean, an insurrection against the US government is not a wart. It should be disqualifying, should it not?
I quit over it. I quit over it for a different reason.
You also said, I do not think you can be a reasonable person and say that Donald Trump should be president again.
Yeah, I think
so. You're not a reasonable person.
Look, American politics is a nasty business.
Are you saying basically you're happy to shift your views because that's how politics works? Or are you saying you get the man wrong? Because you also, I just got to remind people here before we move on, just before the 2020 election, you wrote in a Wall Street Journal op-ed that, quote, if he loses, Trump will concede gracefully. He'll fight hard to make sure the results are fair, and in the end, he'll accept the result, whatever it is. How did that work out?
That's the easiest question I'll get tonight, because people misunderstand this. That was not a prediction. That was advice.
It was a prediction.
It absolutely was not, and here's why. I know how Donald Trump works. By this time, after the election, I had been shut out and wasn't able to talk to the folks on the team. I believe that the RNC was lying to people like myself who were trying to encourage a discussion about the election and so forth. People stopped taking my phone calls, and I knew how Donald Trump takes information. And one of the things he reads religiously is the op-ed pages of the Wall Street Journal. I wrote that piece for an audience of one.
So you didn't believe he was going to hand over power? You didn't just write an op-ed. You went on CNBC and said, I recommend that he accept a peaceful transition of power, which I think he would do absolutely. That sounds like a prediction, which was wrong.
I was, again, advising the gentleman, and he did not take my advice.
He hasn't taken your advice on a lot of major issues. I think you were one of those people, including his vice president, his attorney general, who said, don't pardon the violent criminals from January the 6th.
I thought that
he came in and pardoned nearly 1,600 people, many of whom attacked police officers, many of whom were prosecuted for having deadly weapons, many of whom had other convictions or pending charges for manslaughter, drug trafficking, rape, sexual assault of minors. Trump pardoned them all against the advice of his own people. What kind of person does that?
I thought it was a bad decision. I don't know why he did it. If you're not in the room with him when he's making the decisions, it's hard to understand exactly why he's doing it. By the way, his vice president said the same thing. Right? A week beforehand.
So he threw them all under the bus and just did this thing.
And he should have pardoned
and then you all just fell in line. The party always falls in line, no matter what he does.
He is the leader of the party. There's no question about that.
So just blind support from the Republicans.
Blind support. No,
I mean, this is a pretty big issue.
You can criticize, you can disagree, and then still support.
Well, nobody resigned over this. I mean, you're not in the administration, but none of these people resigned. It's a pretty big deal, right? To pardon insurrectionists who assaulted police officers.
I don't think it's the worst decision he's made. I think the worst decision he made was to take security away from various members of his first administration, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton. And I don't like John Bolton very much, but I thought there have been some
It's a horrible thing to do. He's a vindictive man. You say he's forgiving. He forgives the insurrectionists, but goes after his critics.
I think he's done a fine job as president. There's a lot of decisions.
But hold on, how can he have done a fine job as president?
Right now.
He did. January 20th was his presidency. He began his presidency by pardoning insurrectionists. How do you just ignore that is what I'm wondering.
You don't ignore it.
You literally are. You're saying he's done a fine job. By definition, you're ignoring.
You have to take all of the, I don't think anybody who's president does 100% of the stuff that anybody wants, other than the president.
But there have to be some red lines. There are no red lines.
You have to take a look at the totality of the circumstances, don't you? I mean, aren't there politicians you like that you haven't agreed with 100% of the time?
Yes, I think for a lot of people, for example, voting for Joe Biden on the Democratic side, he supported what happened in Gaza. That was a red line. But for Republicans with Trump, there never seems to be a red line. Whatever he does, all is forgiven. You have called Trump's critics deranged for saying Trump would behave in an authoritarian, even fascistic way, that he would use the government in his second term to go after his critics. And yet, since he's taken office, Trump has cracked down on the press. He's ignored multiple court rulings. He's deported American citizens. He's threatened a Democratic New York Muslim mayoral candidate with deportation. He's arrested a Democratic mayor and a liberal judge. He's indicted a Democratic Congresswoman. Unlike your predictions about Trump, the predictions of his critics
let's pick
have
one.
been vindicated.
Let's pick one.
I mean, they've been vindicated.
Let's just pick one.
Go.
Let's pick the indicting the Democrat congresswoman. Just because you're in Congress doesn't mean you get a get-out-of-jail-free card for whatever you do. They indicted her for attacking or assaulting a federal officer. Just because you're in Congress doesn't mean you can get away with that kind of stuff.
He didn't just indict her. Alina Habba, his ridiculous U.S. attorney in New Jersey, also arrested Ras Baraka, the mayor of Newark.
Yeah.
He then had to be released, and a judge said that was a ridiculously hasty arrest. You are targeting political opponents.
Adam Schiff is a Democrat senator, used to be in the House, was a leading critic of Trump. Trump tweeted something today about, oh my goodness, it looks like Adam Schiff may have committed mortgage fraud over the course of the last couple of years. The point is, it's mortgage fraud, or at least it's an allegation of mortgage fraud. And my point is this, is it? It's just because you're a senator, and a Democrat senator, and an opponent of Donald Trump, does that mean that you're sort of protected against any sort of...
No, of course not.
Okay.
The totality.
The totality.
So, for example,
we can do that with everything on the list.
Okay, the New York mayoral candidate, Zoran Mandani.
Yeah.
He says he may be here illegally. We may have to look at deporting him. That's insane.
Is he?
No, he's an American citizen.
How did he get here?
So we're going to question every American citizen now? You think that's normal? I'm an American citizen. You're going to question my citizenship as well. If I say
Are you above the law? I don't understand. What's the equal
Hold on. I just want to clarify where we stand here. You're saying it's okay for Donald Trump to cast aspersions on every American citizen who he doesn't like and suggest that they're illegally here.
Is casting aspersions fascism?
You don't think threatening a mayoral candidate...
How did he threaten him?
He said, we're going to have to look at that, whether he's here illegally.
Is that a threat, or is that just...
Hold on.
But
So you think that's normal?
Where was this defense, Mehdi? Where was this defense when Donald Trump was charged criminally for paying back a loan early at his business?
That's your description. That's your description.
My description is
of what multiple grand juries and prosecutors disagree with you on.
Is no more one-sided than your list.
But what's interesting is during that period, we were told that the Democrats were weaponizing government against Trump. And I'm saying to you, that was projection. That is exactly what Trump is doing now. He is tasking the government to go after his opponents. That is what
I had Democrat friends of mine reach out to me and say, the thing about charging Trump criminally for financial stuff in his business, that stuff worried them the most, because it was setting a precedent that they were worried would come back and be used against them, which is exactly what appears to be happening with Mr. Schiff.
So you're admitting it's revenge?
What is the difference between revenge and applying the same standard to others that have been applied to you?
It's not the same standard, because Donald Trump wrapped up all the other trials against him. We'll never see the trial for January 6th, which even you objected to.
You charge a man...
Multiple trials were shut down.
Put somebody in jail for saying something wrong on a loan application. In jail. By the way, no one's ever gone to jail in my country.
Hold on. I mean, you know very well the other charges, which he'll never see a courtroom for, were much more serious. You know this. Even Bill Barr said he could be prosecuted for what he did with national security documents in Florida. But let me ask you a broader question, since we're not going to agree on this.
Right.
We are living in a country, you and I wonder whether we'll agree here, in which masked ICE agents, with no badges, no ID numbers, no uniforms, can...
What really stood out to me in this exchange is how revealing it was on a deeper level. Watching it, I couldn't help but ask myself what kind of hold Donald Trump seems to have over so many of these people. Because here's what doesn't add up. These are individuals who, at various points, publicly criticized him, distanced themselves from him, and even acknowledged that his actions crossed serious lines. Mick Mulvaney is a perfect example. After January 6th, he stepped away and, at least briefly, appeared to draw a line. That moment suggested there was still some moral clarity left. But fast forward to now, and suddenly he's back on a stage, openly defending the very behavior he once implied was unacceptable. And I find that embarrassing to watch. Not just politically embarrassing, but personally embarrassing. Because this short exchange alone shows Mehdi Hasan calmly dismantling his arguments again and again, exposing the contradictions, the evasions, and the flimsy defenses for what they are. What's most striking to me is that it doesn't even feel like Mulvaney believes what he's saying. He's repeating the lines, but there's no conviction behind them. You can hear it in how he twists himself into rhetorical knots, bending logic into unnatural shapes just to shield Trump from criticism. That's not persuasion, that's surrender. It's someone humiliating themselves in real time to defend something they know, deep down, doesn't hold up. And the truth is, people like you and me see this clearly. We understand that there are limits, that some actions simply cannot be justified no matter how much spin you apply. You cannot keep defending the indefensible forever. Eventually, reality catches up. And with Donald Trump, you don't even have to wait long. Give it time, and he will always do something that blows past the last excuse. Something that even his most loyal defenders struggle to explain away. That's why, throughout this clip, you hear those quiet reactions from the audience. Those little laughs aren't confusion, they're recognition. People are watching and thinking, This doesn't make sense anymore. They're seeing someone make a fool of himself in service of a defense that has already collapsed. So, I'm curious what you think. Did you notice how Mehdi Hasan used Mulvaney's own words to methodically take apart this entire performance? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up. It really helps get this message out. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.